When my wife told me she wanted an open marriage, I didn't argue. I just opened the door for my lawyer. You know, I used to think marriages ended with shouting, cheating, or cold silence. But mine? It started ending over dinner with spaghetti and red wine. It was a Friday night. Nothing special. I had just gotten home from work, exhausted, and my wife Lydia had dinner waiting. She looked beautiful, too beautiful for a normal night at home. Hair done, makeup perfect, and that red dress she usually saved for dates. I thought maybe she was trying to reconnect. Maybe after all the distance between us lately, she wanted to make things right. But the truth hit me like a brick halfway through my first bite. She put down her fork, looked straight into my eyes and said, "I want an open marriage." For a second I laughed. I genuinely thought she was joking, but she didn't blink. She just sat there, sipping her wine like she'd rehearsed every word. "Lydia," I said, "what did you just say?" "I'm serious," she replied calmly. "I'm tired of pretending. I love you, but I want to feel free again. I don't want a divorce, not yet. I just want to see what's out there." My stomach twisted. The air between us went cold. Here was the woman I'd built my world around, telling me that commitment was suddenly optional. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stared at her. The calmest part of me spoke first. "All right," I said slowly. "If that's what you want, we'll open it." Her face lit up like she'd just won a prize. She started talking about rules and boundaries, about how we could still love each other while seeing other people. She sounded excited, relieved even. But as she spoke, I wasn't really listening. My mind was somewhere else, deep in the quiet space between betrayal and revenge. For years, I'd given everything to that woman. I'd turned down job offers, skipped nights out with friends, all because I wanted a stable home. And now she wanted to explore. When dinner was over, she smiled, kissed my cheek and said, "I'm glad you're being mature about this." Mature, that word burned. I watched her walk away, her heels clicking down the hallway. The second she disappeared, my expression changed. I wasn't hurt anymore. I was calculating. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed beside her, staring at the ceiling, thinking about every moment we'd shared. Our wedding vows, our first apartment, her smile when I bought her that car. All of it suddenly felt like a lie. At 3 a.m., I got up, went to my office and opened my laptop. If she wanted openness, I'd give it to her, in a way she'd never forget. I spent the next 2 hours drafting an email. Not to her, but to my lawyer, the same one who'd handled my cousin's messy divorce last year. I explained everything, down to the words she'd said at dinner. I asked what it would take to file for divorce and split everything legally. Fast, clean, no drama. By morning, my decision was made. I looked at Lydia sleeping peacefully beside me. For the first time in a long while, I didn't feel love. I felt clarity. When she woke up, she smiled and asked, "You okay?" I nodded, "Yeah, better than ever." She had no idea. Later that day, while she went out to grab lunch with a friend, probably her new adventure, I was in my lawyer's office, signing papers that would end our marriage before she even had a chance to start her open one. But the story doesn't end there. Because when she came home that night, she walked through the door with a glow on her face, the kind of glow that comes from knowing you got away with something. I smiled, kissed her on the cheek, and handed her a white envelope. "Since we're opening things up," I said quietly, "I thought we should start with this." She opened it and froze, her face drained of color. It wasn't a love letter. It wasn't a note. It was a divorce notice. Her lips trembled. What is this?" I leaned forward, looked her straight in the eye and whispered, "Openness, Lydia. Isn't that what you wanted?" The next few seconds were silence. Then her phone buzzed, a message that would make everything even worse. When Lydia saw that divorce paper, the color drained from her face. Her hand shook as she held the envelope, eyes darting between the document and me like she was reading something written in another language. "This isn't funny," she said. "Neither was your little dinner speech," I replied. She tried to laugh it off, but I didn't move. I just stood there, calm, deliberate, and cold. That silence between us felt heavier than any argument. It was the sound of something ending for good. Then her phone buzzed again. A text appeared on her lock screen. The name, Ethan. I didn't even have to ask who he was. My gut told me everything I needed to know. She snatched the phone off the table before I could see the message, but the damage was already done. Her panic said more than any text ever could. "Who's Ethan?" I asked, my voice quiet. "Nobody," she said quickly. "Just a friend from work." "Your open marriage friend?" She froze. No words came out, just a nervous swallow. I turned away before she could see the look in my eyes. It wasn't anger anymore. It was disappointment, the kind that cuts deeper because it comes after love. For the next few days, the house felt like a war zone without noise. We spoke, but only when we had to. She cooked dinner like nothing happened, but the silence sat between us like a ghost. Every time her phone vibrated, she flinched. Every time I smiled, she looked scared, and she should have been, because I wasn't just waiting around. I was documenting everything. I took pictures of her texts when she left her phone unlocked. I saved screenshots from her laptop. And every time she left the house, I noted the times. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about making sure I left with everything she thought she could take from me. 3 weeks later, I got a call from my lawyer. He'd gathered enough to prove infidelity, enough to swing the settlement in my favor. Once you serve her, he said, she won't even know what hit her. And he was right. That evening while Lydia was out working late, I called a friend, a mutual one, someone who'd seen her with a man at a restaurant a few nights before. She wasn't even hiding it, he told me. They looked close, like a couple. That was the moment I realized Lydia didn't just want an open marriage. She wanted a replacement. By the time she got home, I had already packed half my things. The papers were ready for her to sign. But before I could confront her, something strange happened. She came home earlier than usual, her face pale, her makeup ruined like she'd been crying in the car. "Lydia," I said, "you look terrible. Trouble in paradise?" She dropped her purse and said softly, "Ethan's gone." I frowned. "Gone where?" She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. He blocked me, deleted everything. His number, his photos, all gone. I should have felt pity, but all I felt was irony. "So the man you risked your marriage for vanished?" I said. "That's poetic." She sat on the couch, trembling. "You don't understand. Someone sent him something. He said I was married, that I was lying to him." My lips curled into a half smile. "Was he wrong?" Her eyes widened. "It was you, wasn't it?" I didn't answer. I just looked at her. Calm, collected, untouchable. She stood up, furious now. "You ruined my life." "No," I said slowly. "You ruined your own. I just made sure you didn't ruin mine." She threw the divorce papers at me, screaming, but the sound didn't even reach me. I'd already emotionally checked out weeks ago. That night, she locked herself in the guest room. I could hear muffled sobs through the wall. For a moment, a small part of me almost felt sorry. Almost. But then my phone buzzed. An email from my lawyer. Subject: new development. She's hiding something. I opened it. Inside was a scanned copy of a transaction Lydia had made from our joint account, a large withdrawal, nearly $12,000, transferred to someone named Caroline Dent. I didn't know who that was, but one thing was clear: this wasn't over. I stepped out into the living room, staring at the door of the guest room where Lydia was hiding. The rain outside had started again, softly at first, then heavier. I whispered to myself, "You wanted freedom, Lydia. Let's see what you do with it." The next morning, Lydia was gone. Her clothes, her jewelry, everything, vanished, and she left only one note behind. It read, "You shouldn't have crossed me. Now it's my turn." When I found Lydia's note on the table, my first reaction wasn't fear. It was curiosity. "You shouldn't have crossed me. Now it's my turn." Those words didn't sound like heartbreak. They sounded like a threat, and Lydia wasn't the type to make empty ones. That morning, I walked through the house, her perfume still hung in the air, her closet half empty, drawers yanked open in a hurry. The place looked like she'd escaped in the middle of the night. I should have been relieved. I was finally free from the chaos, right? But something about that note crawled under my skin. It didn't feel like closure. It felt like a beginning. By noon, my phone started ringing. First the bank, then my job. Apparently, someone had filed a complaint under my name, claiming I'd been embezzling company funds. Of course, it wasn't true, but whoever made the report had details. Too many details. And then it clicked. The transaction, that $12,000 she sent to Caroline Dent. That wasn't a stranger. That was her cousin, a freelance private investigator. Lydia hadn't just run away. She'd planned a counterattack. I remember sitting there, staring at my phone, a bitter laugh escaping my chest. "So this is your turn, huh? But here's the thing about revenge. It's only powerful if the other person doesn't see it coming." And Lydia had no idea I'd been 2 steps ahead the whole time. Weeks before she left, I'd already moved our savings into a separate account under my name. I'd also installed security cameras in the house, something she never noticed because I told her it was part of a smart home upgrade. So while she thought she was winning, every move she made was being recorded. Every secret phone call, every meeting, every plan. I went straight to my lawyer again. He watched the footage and said, "If she's trying to ruin you, this will bury her instead." And it did. The footage showed Lydia and her cousin discussing ways to frame me. They mentioned false evidence, fake screenshots, even using old work files to make it look like I'd stolen money. I remember staring at the screen, not even angry anymore, just amazed. The woman who once vowed to love me forever was now trying to destroy me like a stranger. So I did what I had to do. We took the recordings straight to the authorities. Within days, the investigation flipped on her. Lydia and her cousin were called in for questioning, and that's when the story began to crumble. Under pressure, her cousin confessed. She admitted Lydia had paid her to ruin his reputation before the divorce finalized. By the time the case closed, Lydia had lost everything: the settlement, the house, even her job. The company she worked for wanted no part of the drama. When the dust finally settled, she showed up at my apartment one evening, drenched from the rain, mascara running down her face, the same way she looked the night Ethan left her. She knocked weakly. "Please," she said, "can we talk?" I stood there for a long moment looking at her. There was no satisfaction in seeing her broken, just emptiness, the kind that comes after a war. "You wanted freedom," I said quietly. "You got it." She wiped her tears, whispering, "I didn't mean for it to go this far." I nodded. "Neither did I." She stepped closer, desperate. "So that's it? After everything we had?" I sighed. "No, Lydia, that's because of everything we had." For a moment, she looked like she wanted to speak. Then she turned, walking away into the rain, disappearing for good this time. That night, I poured myself a drink and sat by the window, watching the storm outside. It wasn't the first one I'd seen since she left, but it felt different, quieter, lighter, final. I thought about everything that happened, how a single sentence over dinner had turned love into warfare, how someone who promised forever could become a stranger overnight, and as lightning flashed across the sky, I whispered to myself, sometimes peace doesn't come from forgiveness, it comes from letting go. A few weeks later, I got an envelope in the mail. No name, no address, just a single photo inside. It was Lydia, smiling somewhere far away, sitting on a beach with a man I'd never seen before. On the back there were only 4 words written in her handwriting, "You finally set me free." I didn't feel anger this time, just closure, because maybe, in some twisted way, we both got what we wanted. She got her freedom, and I got my peace. When my wife said she wanted an open marriage, she opened the door for my lawyer, and for my freedom too.